Right now on Upfront.
A Republican divide.
I think they're at a bit of a stalemate. We've got lots of work to do yet, so we're not anywhere close.
The shared revenue debate moving behind closed doors. The Assembly bill passed, the red line publicly drawn.
We are done negotiating. We are not going to take changes.
It's unfortunate that he's drawing the line in the sand now.
So what's next? Our guest this Sunday, Republican Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu.
Then, with growing uncertainty in Madison, Milwaukee's credit rating downgraded.
Obviously, there's still work to do, and we will continue to do that work.
Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson is here, the city's response and his urgent message to state lawmakers.
And the growing field.
I'll keep you posted, Matt. That might not altogether be up to me, but...
Former Vice President Mike Pence, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, both expected to enter the presidential race this week ahead of the first GOP debate in Milwaukee. ABC News political director Rick Klein with the latest reporting.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Negotiations going private or quiet this past week.
High stakes for the shared revenue bill and the ability for Milwaukee and Milwaukee County to raise its sales tax. The Assembly already passing its version of the bill. A Senate committee holding a public hearing, but no floor action just yet.
So what's next? Republican Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu is here. Senator, welcome back to the show. Good to see you.
No, thanks for having me.
Let's start here. Speaker Voss has said negotiations are over. The governor has said he's requested a meeting with GOP leaders on shared revenue. Where does everything stand?
Yeah, so we're working on setting up a meeting with the speaker and the governor and myself, and hopefully we can come to a solution because it's so important to get the shared revenue piece done, not just for the city and the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County, but for the entire state, because just increasing, there's been small townships, villages all around the state who've been up against, revenue limits for the last couple of decades. So to get them, they're dealing with inflationary pressures. To get them more shared revenue will be helpful all around the state.
The governor had said he wanted the meeting this past week. Is it a scheduling issue or are there larger issues at play?
No, it was just a scheduling issue. We're looking hopefully to meet on Monday, and we can start going on the process again to get shared revenue done.
A major sticking point, as you know, is whether voters will have to approve the sales tax referendum for Milwaukee and Milwaukee County. Will the Senate version remove the referendum provision?
That's what I would like to do personally. I think the challenge with having a referendum is we don't have any fall elections this year. So it'd be a standalone referendum just on people raising their own, going out to vote to raise taxes on themselves, which is sort of a tough thing to try to convince them to do. So I think, the city council over the last couple decades or a long time has created the pension mess that they're in, and so I think it's incumbent on them to vote to fix it themselves.
Do you have the votes needed, Republican votes, as we sit here today, to pass without a referendum?
We are working on getting the 17 votes to do that.
Don't have them at this point?
Correct.
What other changes specifically? You've indicated that you would like to see some other changes with this bill. What other changes are you thinking about?
There's a lot of great things in the bill, but we're willing to work with the speaker and the governor and my caucus and all the stakeholders involved to make sure that we get a bill that we can garner votes that everybody can get behind and that we can pass. Hopefully, it's a bipartisan bill. I know there's interest with some Democrats in the Senate who want to get there and vote for it, and hopefully we can do that.
On the referendum provision, is it being considered that a unanimous vote would be required by the county board or common council if the referendum is removed?
I think a unanimous vote is sort of a tough hill to climb because that makes one person sort of the kingmaker in the city council and the county board, and so I think a 2/3 majority would be a great way to do it, even a simple majority, just so they can take ownership of it.
Are there some in the caucus who would want that?
No.
No, so that's not a serious conversation at this point?
Not in my caucus.
Okay.
We did ask the governor this past week if he would veto the legislation if the referendum provision stayed. I want to go ahead and play a little bit of that sound for you now.
Would you veto it when it got to your desk?
I'm not sure about that. The money's important, but we should be able to get to an agreement on this, and I think we will. Obviously, the Senate is in a different place than the Assembly. I guess my preference would be that the Senate's position be adopted, but we've got lots of work to do yet, so we're not anywhere close to it.
So not anywhere close to it. Is that a fair characterization from the governor?
I think we're closer than that. I think we're actually pretty close, and I'm hoping that when we meet with the governor on Monday, we can work out a deal and get it done.
Is this, some have framed this as the Senate and the governor versus Speaker Voss in the Assembly. Is that fair?
No, I don't think that's necessarily fair. We came into the situation, the bill author, Senator Felskowski, and I, we met with the city and the county stakeholders, and they said it was important to have it as a council vote and a county board vote, and we agree with them. We think that's the best way to do it. So it's not specifically us versus the Assembly and the governor versus the Assembly. It's just trying to get a bill that works for everybody.
What happens if the Senate passes a bill that removes the referendum provision and the Assembly just refuses to take that up? Are you hopeful that conference will solve this then?
Well, that's why we haven't passed our version yet, because we're trying to get the Speaker on board with what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the governor on board, so that way we're not lobbying a bill back and forth. I think that doesn't make sense it doesn't solve things.
I know shared revenue is taking up a lot of oxygen, at least in the present. I do want to ask you about Brewers funding. That's been removed from the budget. The MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred was in town recently. He told me essentially this plan will include some type of state money, and he is confident that state lawmakers will step up to the plate, for lack of a better term, in terms of providing funding. Is that going to happen in your mind?
Yeah, I hope so. That was a meeting we had this week, once again, with the Assembly and us, and we brought in the minority party in both houses. We're working on getting a draft ready that hopefully we can get bipartisan support for. We're probably going to need bipartisan support. It'd be hard to pass it with just Republican votes in both houses. So it's going to be a bill that, hopefully the Brewers can kick in some money. Hopefully the city and the county will be able to help out, because they definitely benefit from the Brewers being here, from income tax revenue to, hotel fees, things like that. So, I think it's in everybody's best interest to keep the Brewers here. It's hard to put a price tag on, having a Major League Baseball team here. Just from income taxes alone, the state receives upwards of $15 million a year from Brewers and visiting players when they come play here. So we don't want an empty stadium without, that the state owns the stadium. We don't want an empty stadium without a tenant, frankly.
How close will the bill mirror what the governor wants to do, $290 million from the state surplus?
I think we'll do it with annual payments, because since we're receiving annual income and sales tax revenue from the Brewers, I think it makes sense to do, use some of that money for annual payments to help keep the Brewers here.
You don't buy the governor's argument that it's cheaper and a better deal to essentially write a one-time check? We do have the funds available right now, having a large surplus, almost a $7 billion surplus. But if we're going to make steady payments for to keep them here till 2050 or whatever that lease amount period ends up being, just paying for it over the long run, when salaries continue to rise in Major League Baseball, that works as well. How quickly would you like a bill?
I think it needs to be done in June. It would be great if we could get it done in June, before we take July and August off, and so that way this isn't sticking around and being a problem.
While we have you, want to talk about marijuana in Wisconsin. Speaker Voss has said that the Assembly could have a bill about medical marijuana in Wisconsin as early as this fall. Do you see that passing the Senate at all?
The devil is always in the details when a bill like that is being drafted. I think there is a pathway to get that through the Senate, but it's going to be what the details of the bill are.
A lot happening. Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu. Senator, thank you so much for your time and your perspective.
Thank you.
Up next, the uncertainty in Madison now downgrading Milwaukee's credit rating.
Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson is standing by, what it means in his latest message to lawmakers on the shared revenue bill.